Wayne was feeling hurt by his behavior. Maybe he doesn't feel anything for me. Maybe I misinterpreted his care, she thought with a broken heart. He decided to explain it to Ryan. Mrs. Kim noticed the silence between them that morning. When Taeyong was taking Ryan to university, he decided to talk. Forget about what happened today. We are friends. We don't have to make it awkward, he said, and she nodded. She didn't want to lose him just because she wanted more. They started spending their time like before, but this time Ryan wasn't unaware of her feeling. His every move, every word left a mark on her. Jimin got his conscience in those days. Taeyong was really happy to see his friend recovering, but a small part of him was also thinking about letting Ryan go. He knew that it was going to be the most difficult thing to do. Jimin got discharged in a week. He was thankful to Taeyong for taking care of her sister. Taeyong was spending as much time as he could with Ryan. He was counting every minute. Taeyong and Ryan was sitting in the living area around 11 p.m. the night before Jimin was discharged. Ryan didn't know what happened. He moved to pick his phone from the side table. When Ryan decided to turn her face, his lips landed on her temple. He didn't pull away quickly. He let his lip linger over there. Ryan's heartbeat got fast due to his closeness. After some seconds, he moved back and went to his room after saying goodbye. Ryan was sitting shocked. It was the first time he had done anything more than just being friend, and it also started accidentally. Jimin came to take her home. Ryan was really happy to see her brother. They told Ryan about what happened. Ryan was thankful of Taeyong and Mrs. Kim. When Jimin told her to pack her stuff, reality struck her. She was going to leave that house. She was happy to see her brother, but she forgot that her time with Taeyong also ended with that. He only married me to protect me. He doesn't feel anything for me. I can't ask more from him, she thought while crying. Mrs. Kim was not happy with Ryan leaving. She could see the lack of peace in his son's eyes, but she didn't say anything. She knew that her son was going to what he thought was right. In that way, Ryan left the young place with Jimin. Mrs. Kim asked her to take care of herself and come to meet them as much as possible. Ryan didn't even look at the air. She knew that she would end up in tears if she would see in his eyes. She won't have been able to stand the relief of being free again in his eyes. He let the tear fall. When the car started moving, Jimin didn't say anything. He thought that she must have got attached with them and now was sad because of leaving them. She will be fine in some days, he thought to himself. Jimin was really worried about Ryan. He had seen her continuous red eyes and quietness. She wasn't the happiest or like before. She was more quiet and empty. Didn't matter how much she tried, she wasn't able to remove him from her heart. Missing wasn't the question. She wasn't able to forget him for a second. In every second for her day, he was on her mind. He is not mine, he is not mine, forget about him. She repeated this to herself again and again, but each time it sounded like a lie. Forgetting him wasn't possible for her. Living without him was becoming more and more difficult with each and passing day. She didn't even call him so that she won't end up breaking in front of him. On the other hand, he had become more cold-hearted than before. He was continuously shouting on people, firing them for their job, punishing them for a small mistake. Leaving her was producing an anger within him, which he was trying to take out on others. But didn't matter what he does, it wasn't disappointing. Mrs. Kim could see that anger bubbling inside him. She could see her son hurting. She is your wife, get her back. You have right of her, religiously and socially. She finally ended up saying it to him. He didn't say anything. He left for his office. He didn't want to think about his right on her. The need of getting her back was already too strong. After some time, he got a call from Jimin. After greeting him, said worriedly, "Tai, do you have any idea what's wrong with Ryan? She goes to university, spend time with me, but sometimes it's off. Her eyes always red." It's looked like she spent a lot of time crying. I tried to ask her, but she didn't tell me anything. He took a deep breath and said, I will come and talk to her. You don't need to worry. The thought of her crying was more than disturbing for him. He looked at the time and saw that she must be in university at that time. He asked Jasmine for the first time after Ryan leaving her home and asked about the leaving time he left from there. He went to pick Ryan and informed Jimin about not to worry. Ryan was surprised to see him there. "Why are you here?" she said without looking in his eyes. She was happy about seeing him, but she also knew that this happiness wasn't for a long time. He scolded after seeing her behavior and said, "Sit in the car." She quickly sat in. She didn't want his anger directly toward her. He took her outside the city area. Ryan wasn't worried about that. Got out and opened her door. There was no one around. He closed the door after pulling her out. He pulled her face up so that she was looking in his eyes. His heart broke after seeing her eyes. It was the first time he was seeing her eyes. After that, they were red. "You have been crying," he said his statement. Ryan couldn't stop the tear from falling her eyes. "Why are you worried? I am not your responsibility anymore." He didn't say anything and kept looking in her eyes. He took a breath and told her to sit in the car. They left for Ryan's house. They covered the whole journey in silence. Ryan didn't say anything. She didn't want to show any more weakness. When he stopped the car in front of Jimin's place, Ryan quickly got out and left for her room. She fell on the bed and couldn't stop her tear any longer. She was lying on her front.